Are you looking to move to South Florida, but you don't want to live in an area with cookie cutter homes, and you're okay with neighbors, but you don't want them right on top of you, and you want a little bit of ground, maybe an acre or more? You want a place where you can have generational living with mom, dad, the kids, grandma, grandpa. You want a place for your pets or animals to roam, and a place to store your toys like your boat, your motorhome, jet skis, but not with all the restrictions that you run into in town or in an HOA. Maybe you want to run your business out of there, and you want something that's affordable. Today we're going to talk about one of the most sought after areas just like that in the Palm Beaches of South Florida, and we're getting after that right now. All right, welcome back to the channel. Be sure and hit that like and subscribe button down below, and be sure and share our videos because that helps our channel out a ton. And if you're looking to buy or sell real estate in the Palm Beaches of South Florida, you know how to get a hold of us. You can give us a call, a text, an email. Heck, you can even send a message in a bottle because that works too. Okay, so today we're talking about an area known as the Acreage. So the Acreage is about 25 minutes from downtown West Palm Beach. About 25 minutes from Palm Beach Gardens, 15 minutes from Wellington, 30 minutes to the beach, and probably 15 minutes to the airport. Now, there's always been a few developments around the Acreage, like Ibis, which is a private golf community, Bay Hill, Sand Hill Crane, but now there are two major developments going in, and I'm talking about luxury developments that they've been building over the past few years. One is Avenir, which is a 10,000 home community, and Panther Creek, which is a luxury golf course community. When you used to say, hey, I live in the Acreage, people say, wow, you live out in the middle of nowhere, what's that like? Now, because of all the development, it's really not that far. So a little history of the Acreage: it started as a place to house the citrus workers, but then somewhere in the 1960s it started to be developed as a place to have your little own ranchette. So the Acreage consists of this large grid of approximately 41 square miles. And if you look at it in an aerial of the map, there are major north and south roads like Seminole, Pratt Whitney, Mandarin, Coconut Boulevard, Avocado Boulevard, and others. And then the east-west roads on the north end obviously is North Lake. That's a main artery into the Acreage. Hamlin, Temple, Key Lime, Orange Boulevard, 60th, Persimmon. It's in a numbered grid, so it's really easy to get around even without a GPS. There's also an intricate grid of canals in and around the Acreage as well. Now, before we get too far into this, be sure to stay to the end because I'm going to show you, what the housing is down here, what it's like, what you can expect, the different price points. Also, I'm going to show you, the bad about living in the Acreage, not just the good, but some of the bad and the things you have to deal with for living out here. But the prices out here cover a huge range, and I'm talking about anywhere from the mid 400s to the $500,000 to $700,000 price range, up into over $1 million. But most of the properties here fall into that 600 to 700 price range. So the main thing about the Acreage is all of the homes are at least on an acre. So most of them are cut into like what I would call acre and a quarter. One thing to keep in mind on the Acreage, it's all on well and septic. So the water quality can differ throughout the area, but there's plenty of experts out here. Everyone usually has a water softener or some sort of filtration, but all the different wells are different. They're all shallow well pretty much here in South Florida. The Acreage encompasses the town of Westlake, and you could have one of three different addresses out here. You could have Loxahatchee, West Palm Beach, or Royal Palm Beach. And also besides the development, there are three major wildlife preserves nearby, including J.W. Corbett to the north and west, Dupuy further north, and Grassy Waters to the east. There's also Lyon County Safari, where they have all the big cats and wildlife, and there's Riverbend Park, which is right in the Acreage. Besides the preserves, there's a ton of agriculture surrounding the acreage, and even there's 5 and 10 and 20 acre lots outside of the acreage that are available. So there's still thousands of acres of open space. And what I really like about the acreage is you really feel like you're far out, but you're actually close to everything. And I'm talking about 15 to 30 minute drive to major locations, the airport, downtown West Palm, and places like that. So a lot of the roads out here are actually dirt roads, but they're in the process of paving most of them, and you're going to see a lot of construction going on out here as far as roads and infrastructure. But there's a lot of people with horses, goats, chickens, maybe there's even some small cattle ranches out here, but most of the lots are zoned ag residential that allow for a number of animals. So even if you just want a place for your dogs to roam, this is a great opportunity. As far as raising a family here, there's some very high rated schools, including Acreage Pines, Western Pines Middle School, Seminole Ridge High School, and you can also homeschool and send to private schools if you like. Now, if you're into hunting, fishing, watching wildlife, or four-wheelers, the Corbett Wildlife Area is amazing. It's thousands of acres. As far as wildlife out here in the acreage, you know, you're going to have gators, you're going to have snakes. You know, they have panthers out there at in Corbett Wildlife, coyotes, raccoons, iguanas, the whole mix. Now, to set it straight, I've seen more alligators on golf courses than I've ever seen out in the acreage. But I'm sure there's areas around here that have them, especially along the really big canals. So let's talk about housing in the acreage. One of the cool things I see in the acreage is you can have a main house along with a guest house and even an extra building or workshop. So you'll see that a lot down here. You'll see almost like a compound. I recently sold a house that had a house, a guest house, as well as a workshop building on it. And you'll also see generational living, and this is one of the places you can do that for sure. If you like having a big garden, if you want a lot of storage for your toys, you want to have animals, this is the place. There's really no restrictions. It just goes by county restrictions. So if you want to have your boat or your motorhome out in the front yard, you can do that. Pretty much everything goes out here, and you're going to get a lot more for your money out here in the acreage as you will in other places that are similar. Now, there's places just like this down in Miami, outside of Miami, and there's places in Jupiter Farms, but you're going to spend, the ones down in Miami, you're going to spend probably a minimum of $1 million for anything out there, and up in Jupiter Farms, it's going to cost you another $150,000 to $200,000 for the same house. Now, as you've heard in the news, property values are starting to come down in South Florida. This is one of the places where it's really not getting hit very hard. And the reason being is because of all the development down here. And I think that's what's keeping the value of these up. And people are realizing, hey, where am I going to find, you know, an acre of ground to live on in South Florida? Now, eventually all the old homes will probably get torn down and replaced. But for right now, it's mostly homes that have been here for quite a while, along with a mix of new construction. The prices have seemed to stabilize here, like I said earlier, but as I said, you can buy a buildable lot for around $250,000 to $300,000, depending on where it's at and what needs to be done with it. One of the things to look for when you're finding a lot, or even when you're buying a house down here, is look for the pine trees, because pine trees really don't like to grow in the water. I know when you're doing new construction, the county's going to make sure you're not building in a flood zone, and they're making sure that you elevate your foundation accordingly. So home prices generally start in the mid 400s, and you're going to find a fixer-upper, something like 1,000, 1,200 square feet, and then you're going to move up to that $500,000 to $600,000 price point, and you're going to find something maybe 1,200 to 1,700 square feet. Still probably going to be pretty original, probably going to need some work. It might have a pool, might have an extra building. And then you're going to go up into the $600,000 to $7,000 price point. Right now there's like 20 properties in that price point. And if you get into up over $700,000, you can pretty much get anything you want. Now, there's houses out here that are worth $1 million and much more than that. But the majority of the homes are under $800,000. And under $800,000, in that $700,000 to $800,000 price point, you can probably get a 2,500 square foot house with a beautiful pool, with the screened-in enclosure, with an extra building. And if you get anywhere close to $900,000, you're probably going to get that with a guest house. It's a lot of different houses out here, and the prices are all over the board. So you really got to find what you like. But right now, the great thing is there's a lot of inventory, so there's a lot of them to choose from. And if that doesn't fit what you're looking for, you can always build new. And through driving around, I've also found that there's a lot of spec houses out there that have already been built. And let's say they don't have that extra building, you can go ahead and put that up. The restrictions from the county are really homeowner friendly. So if you want to put an extra building, you want to put an extra house up, you can pretty much do it. You got to keep within a certain size limit and lot coverage, but it's probably some of the best homeowner friendly restrictions you'll find. So just 4 years ago, you could have bought properties down here all you wanted for under $300,000, or especially in the $300,000 to $400,000. But right now, just $300,000 just buys you a lot. So some of the negative things I told you I would talk about, if you're not used to it, as I said, it is on well and septic, but that's really not a big thing. I had well and septic when I lived in Illinois for years and never had a problem. The good thing is when you have well and septic, you don't have to pay for city water or sewer. So one of the other negative things is it gets really hot down here. If you're by the ocean, let's say it's 85 degrees, you get out here in the acreage, it's usually going to be about 90, 91. It's a lot hotter when you get out there. And one of the reasons is they don't have that breeze. They don't get that ocean breeze. The other thing to keep in mind is because they don't have a breeze, you get a lot of bugs. Now, I live near the ocean. I don't have to deal with bugs, but if I'm living down here in the acreage, I'm going to make sure that I have a screened-in enclosure like you see here, especially if I have a pool. But even if I have a porch area, I want to have an enclosed area with the screen because, let me tell you, they have something down here called the no-see-ums, and the thing is you can't see them. Well, you can, but they're really tiny little bugs, much smaller than mosquitoes, and they'll just swarm you at certain times of the day, like early in the morning or near around sunset. They'll just come out of nowhere, and you'll be like, what the heck's going on? So they'll get in your car, they'll get all over the place. So one of the good things you want to do is, have a garage. I would rather have an attached garage. It'd be very important. And then also have a screened enclosure because the bugs can get really bad down here at certain times of the day. There is a lot of other critters out there. Raccoons, iguanas are all over. If you have a garden, iguanas will eat the hell out of your garden. Lizards, snakes. There's some gators, but as I said before, I've seen more gators on the golf courses than I've ever seen out in the acreage. One of the things that never used to be a problem, but it is now, and that is traffic. Now this is because of the increased development that's going on. There's a lot more people living out and around the acreage. So in the early morning, rush hour, and late afternoon, early evening, you can get on some of the main arteries and you'll be on there for a while just to go through a four-way stop. But the good thing is they're taking care of that. They're widening the roads right now. They're starting to pave all the roads. So it's gonna get a lot better, but for right now you'll have to deal with it. The other thing that's gotten a lot better though too is shopping. We have about 4 Publix nearby, and if you want to go to Whole Foods or Trader Joe's, the good thing is they're only about 20 to 30 minutes away. If you're looking to buy and sell real estate in South Florida, you can reach out to me by phone, text, or email. I'm Ray Petric with Remax Ocean Properties. I'll see you next time.